In May 2025, the world was stunned by dramatic developments in the United States. President Trump had launched a sweeping federal crackdown on Democratic leaders, citing vague threats to national security. FBI agents raided the offices of Democratic senators, seized documents, and detained 3 lawmakers without clear legal warrants. In Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traoré, watched the chaos unfold live on CNN International. He saw heavily armed federal agents swarming the U.S. Capitol and placing elected lawmakers in handcuffs. "This can't be real," he murmured, unsettled. His aide, Moussa Kabor, entered hurriedly. "Mr. President, Trump has declared a state of emergency and suspended key constitutional rights." Ibrahim, just 36 years old, and no stranger to political upheaval in Africa, found it surreal to witness such events in a nation that had long positioned itself as democracy's global steward. "Convene the National Security Council. Prepare a formal response," he ordered. The footage worsened. Peaceful demonstrators were beaten, journalists detained, social media blacked out. Ibrahim, who had once attended U.S.-funded human rights programs, was shaken. How can this be happening in the land that lectured us on liberty? Calls flooded the presidential palace. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa was among the first. "Ibrahim, this is a coup in everything but name. The very thing they condemned us for." "Exactly," Ibrahim replied. "Their democratic mask has slipped." Senegal's president echoed the sentiment. "Your past words about African dignity ring truer than ever." In a hastily arranged cabinet meeting, Foreign Minister Dr. Alain Ouedraogo announced that protesters had stormed 3 U.S. embassies in Africa. Finance Minister Fatoumata Ouedraogo added, "Markets are jittery. Confidence in America is plummeting." "We must speak out," Ibrahim declared. "Africa will not stay silent." Media outlets from around the globe requested interviews. Press conference in 2 hours, Ibrahim decided. His wife, Ijara, cautioned him. "This could be dangerous. I've always stood for truth." "That won't change now," he reassured her. In his office, Ibrahim and his communications team assembled facts. "We must highlight their hypocrisy," he said. Advisor Yakuba Ouedraogo presented years of U.S. critiques against African elections. In 2023, they slammed Zimbabwe for irregularities. Now they jailed their own Congress without due process, Ibrahim noted grimly. Meanwhile, Trump held a press conference defending his actions as necessary to protect democracy. Military vehicles rolled through American streets. Macron convened an EU summit. Xi Jinping remarked, "The illusion of American democracy has collapsed." The African Union's Secretary General called Ibrahim, "The continent looks to you." "This is about more than Africa," Ibrahim replied. "It's about truth." Fresh reports confirmed the transfer of U.S. senators to military detention centers without legal representation. Ibrahim knew it was time. At 3 p.m., he stepped into the palace press hall. "I speak today not only as Burkina Faso's president, but as a voice for a continent too often lectured, too rarely heard." He gestured to a screen showing U.S. agents storming the Capitol. Had this happened in Africa, they'd call it a coup. Instead, they ask us to stay silent. CNN's Sarah Johnson asked, "Isn't your tone too harsh?" "Too harsh. You called us dictators for less. Now the West burns, and you want whispers." He listed facts. Burkina Faso held elections within 18 months after its own crisis. Trump had indefinitely delayed U.S. elections. Mali was sanctioned for detaining a corrupt official. Trump jailed 3 elected representatives. They froze Zimbabwe's assets over elections with 89% turnout. Their own participation barely crossed 66%. France 24 posed a question in French. Ibrahim answered fluently. "We survived colonialism. We will not fear American tyrants. For 60 years they exported democracy through bombs. We defend it with words and dignity." His speech went viral. Traoré, vs. Trump trended worldwide. From Cairo to Johannesburg, youth rallied. Chinese and Russian media rebroadcast his remarks. Even in the U.S., students carried signs quoting him. If this were Africa, they'd send the Marines. Trump raged. "Cut all aid to Burkina Faso," he demanded, but his staff hesitated. Retaliation would prove Traoré's point. Across the global south, Ibrahim's words resonated. Brazil's president called him a hero. India's PM praised his courage. Mandela's son tweeted, "Traoré said what my father would say today." Later, in the palace garden, Ijara asked him, "How do you feel?" Relieved. For once, the world listened. Yakuba arrived, breathless. 50 million views in 6 hours. Harvard and Yale paused classes to analyze your speech. "It's not about me," Ibrahim said. "It's about truth without borders." The African Union launched the Traoré Index to track democratic integrity. The U.S. ranked 47th. Western students began applying to African universities. At a later press conference, a Reuters reporter asked Trump, "How do you respond to Traoré's statement that you've become what America once accused others of being?" "Fake news," Trump snapped. "I'm saving America from traitors." Watching live, Ibrahim responded. Faced with truth, he lashes out. I held elections. He canceled his. I released prisoners. He jailed his opponents. He concluded, every dictator claims to protect the people. Trump is no different. 6 months later, Trump was gone. Mass protests and global pressure forced the U.S. to begin restoring its democratic institutions. A New York Times editorial declared, a young African president just taught us more about democracy than we've understood in decades. Walking in the palace garden one afternoon, Ibrahim's daughter asked, did you really change the world? He smiled. No, my love, I just reminded it that truth doesn't need a passport.